Today I bring you Fathers of Nations by Paul B. Vitta. But just before I begin, to inspire you to read books, to enjoy books, let me just give you a list of the books whose stories I have told here. A Man of the People, An Enemy of the People, Daughter of Nature, Siku Njema, Americana, Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, The Little Prince, The Alchemist, The Da Vinci Code, The Catcher in the Rye, To Kill a Mockingbird, Pride and Prejudice, The Hobbit, Gone with the Wind, 1984, The Christmas Train, Letters from Father Christmas, Skipping Christmas, A Christmas Carol, Oliver Twist, King Midas and the Golden Touch, Oedipus Rex, Romeo and Juliet, Kifo Kisimani, Betrayal in the City, Kachukua Hatua Nyingine, Angels and Demons, The Most Dangerous Game, Stormy Springtime, Coming to Birth, The River Between, My Life in Crime, The Town Trickster, The River and the Source, Shreds of Tenderness, Animal Farm, among many other storybooks. So if you haven't read any of those and you would like to get a glimpse or a synopsis of what really takes place in those books, check my other videos. Otherwise, let's now dive into Fathers of Nations by Paul B. Vitta, which is also a high school set book currently. Now, the novel opens with the introduction of President Mzee Pupa, the aging but powerful leader of Bambea. He is surrounded by a circle of greedy ministers who constantly flatter him and compete for his favor. Although he claims to be the father of nations, his leadership is marked by selfishness and manipulation. He is more concerned with maintaining power and wealth than improving the lives of his citizens. Among his closest allies is Minister of Finance, Mr. Chipande, who is cunning and deeply corrupt. Chipande is entrusted with managing the country's finances. But instead of using resources for development, he diverts large sums of money into private accounts. He works hand in hand with other ministers who are equally corrupt, forming a network of embezzlement and deceit. The central conflict of the story revolves around a grand international conference that Bambea is hosting. The conference is meant to showcase the country as progressive and stable, attracting foreign investors and boosting its image globally. However, behind the scenes, the event becomes an opportunity for leaders to siphon money. As preparations begin, huge budgets are allocated for infrastructure, accommodation, and logistics. Roads are supposed to be repaired, buildings renovated, and services improved. However, most of the funds disappear into the pockets of government officials. Fake tenders are issued, inflated contracts are awarded, and substandard work is done. In some cases, projects exist only on paper. Despite the widespread corruption, the leaders remain confident that the truth will never come out. They believe their power shields them from accountability. The citizens, on the other hand, continue to suffer from poor services, poverty, and neglect. Amidst this chaos, we meet Professor Kimani, an intellectual and moral voice in the story. He represents the conscience of society. Kimani is critical of the government and openly condemns corruption. He believes in justice and accountability, and he challenges the leaders' misuse of power. However, his outspokenness makes him a target. The government views him as a threat and seeks to silence him. Another important character is Father Mwangangi, a religious figure who also speaks against corruption and moral decay. Like Kimani, he stands for truth and righteousness. His sermons criticize the government's actions, urging leaders to serve the people honestly. However, his influence is limited as many citizens feel powerless to challenge the system. As the conference draws closer, tensions rise. There is pressure to ensure everything appears perfect for international guests. Temporary measures are put in place to create an illusion of progress. Streets are clean, slums are hidden, and citizens are instructed to behave in ways that will impress visitors. The government prioritizes appearance over reality. However, things begin to fall apart. The corruption is so widespread that it becomes difficult to conceal. Some projects are incomplete, others are poorly executed, and logistical failures start to emerge. There is confusion, mismanagement, and panic among officials. At the same time, internal conflicts among the leaders intensify. Each minister wants a bigger share of the stolen funds, leading to betrayal and suspicion. Alliances shift and trust breaks down. The very system built on corruption begins to collapse under its own weight. During the conference itself, the situation becomes chaotic. Plans fail, services break down, and the country is exposed to embarrassment. Foreign delegates begin to notice inconsistencies and question the government's credibility. The image that the leaders worked so hard to project starts to crumble. Meanwhile, voices of dissent grow louder. Intellectuals, religious leaders, ordinary citizens begin to speak out against corruption. Although they face intimidation and threats, their courage highlights the possibility of change. In a dramatic turn of events, some corrupt officials are exposed. Investigations reveal the extent of embezzlement and mistrust and misuse of funds. However, justice is not fully achieved as powerful individuals manipulate the system to avoid punishment. This story or novel shows how deeply entrenched corruption is in many nations and is difficult to eradicate.